audience. For years, there has been debates on whether or not the death penalty is cruel and unusual punishment. Some believe that the penalty is immoral and no one life should be taken, regardless of the crimes they committed. Others believe the exact opposite. Like the saying goes, an eye for an eye, and in this case, a life for a life. Jeter DeVille wrote the article called Is the Death Penalty Cruel and Unusual Punishment, published February 2nd, 2011. This article enlightens readers about the argument for the death penalty and against it. Arguments supporting the death penalty believe that the capital punishment is a way of sending a message to society. It is supposed to show that the law won't tolerate crimes and help prevent more from being committed. Death penalty acts as a deterrent for the society, but put the fear of death into criminals. Alex Kavinsky, J.D. Judge of the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, November 7, 2002, quoted Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher. Society that is not willing to demand a life, somebody who has taken somebody else's life, is simply immoral. So the question is really, when the system works and when you manage to identify somebody who has done such heinous evil, do we as a society have the right to take this person's life? Kavinsky says, yes, it's immoral not to. Thurgood Marshall, J.D. late Justice of Supreme Court in June 29, 1972, Furman v. Georgia. Capital punishment violates the Eighth Amendment because it is morally unacceptable to the people of the United States. The argument claims anyone who commits a crime in a conscious state of mind has no right to live. One big argument that the people have against the death penalty is that killing the criminal isn't going to bring back the life of the victim, which is true. When a criminal takes another life in a conscious state of mind and knows what they are doing is wrong and knows the consequences, he is probably ready to face death. Rosalind Parks, the Research Director of Human Rights, and Robin Phillips, the Executive Director for Human Rights, both wrote an article, Death Penalty, Cruel and Unusual, made a point stating one good reason to abolish the death penalty because it can risk executing an innocent person. This happened because of the wrongful convictions, mistaken eyewitness, government misconduct, and mismanaged evidence and false confessions. The risk of executing an innocent person violates the human right recognized in international law and the U.S. Constitution, the right to live. People who are against the death penalty believe criminals should be given a second chance and be under surveillance if they are truly sorry for the crimes they committed. And other arguments against it, that the execution can be harsh and painful depending on the method used. The death penalty has different methods of executing the criminals. Firing squad, hanging if done properly, gas chamber which was quickly abandoned due to the risk of endangering the guards and other inmates. Electrocution, and the most popular and recent method, lethal injections, which is the practice of injecting the person with fatal doses of drugs. This method was the first proposed on January 17, 1888 by Julius Mount Blair, a New York doctor who claims it as being a cheaper method of execution. This method is said to be the most humane and painless method. This method wasn't approved until May 11, 1977 in Oklahoma State. Up until now, 2004, 37 of the 38 states using capital punishment adopted a lethal injection method. Texas became the first state to use the lethal injection on December 7, 1982 for execution. Statistics shows there has been 1,320 executions from 1977 to 2012, 1,146 lethal injections, 157 electrocutions, 11 gas chambers, 3 hanging, and 3 firing squads. People have different views on whether the death penalty is cruel and unusual. People who are against it failed to convince the government to abolish the death penalty, but the debate still continues even today. Because of different perspective people have based solely on their morals and how valuable life is to them, and how justice should be served in punishing criminals.